Welcome to this edition of Wealth Psychology on Sylvia Global Media. We're so excited to be here, and I have a great guest today. This is a show that is all about making it so that we can have the best experiences we can have with our money, with our wealth, in our lives, so we can lead truly rich lives, no matter how much money is in our bank accounts. And today we are going to be talking about a loaded subject for just about anybody I know, which is that of prenuptial agreements. When to have them, how to have them, what they're about, what we need to know about them. And my guest today is Erik Newton of Heath-Newton LLP. He's a family lawyer in San Francisco, and he's up to some really exciting things in the world. And recently, Erik was featured in an op-ed dialogue about a conversation around prenups that was sparked at the New York Times because of a pretty high-profile case where a woman was able to break her prenup, saying that she was coerced into it and only signed it 4 days before her wedding. And as a result, some people really weighed in about, do you have one, do you not, do they work, do they not? And I just found out from Erik that it was recently, his comments were republished in Psychology Today. That makes us excited because this show is all about wealth psychology and the emotional impact of these things. So welcome, Erik. Tell us a little bit about yourself, family law, and why you're passionate about prenups.
Well, I became interested in prenups. Of course, I'm a family lawyer, so people come and ask me about them. But it really stemmed from the fact that handling divorces day in and day out can be emotionally extremely draining, especially for a romantic like myself. And so I, at the beginning of my career, was looking for a way to find something on the happier end of the marriage process, if you will. And so I started thinking a lot about prenups and how we could use them to strengthen marriages and how we could use them in a positive way.
Okay, so I have to just jump in here because there's two things you said. One, you're a romantic lawyer, which most people would not necessarily put together. And then the other is you just said something that I'm really passionate about as well, and this is one of the reasons why you and I are in these conversations, is you just said a prenup can help strengthen a relationship.
That's my core philosophy.
Okay, let's talk more about that.
So what happens with a premarital agreement is that, what happens with a traditional premarital agreement, I should say first, is that people go in from the perspective that they need to protect themselves and their future financial interests, and that there's an adversarial context that gets created as a result of that. And it tends to break down trust, and it's scary for both people. It's scary for the person asking for the prenup, and it's scary for the person who is being asked to sign the prenup. And it sets up a culture and a foundation, I think, that's not very effective for a long-term marriage, for building strength and trust. But there is another way to do it, and this is where my perspective comes into play. And that's that the issues that are addressed in a premarital agreement and that are addressed in a conversation around a premarital agreement are the issues that are going to come up in any marriage, in every marriage, inevitably at some point, 1 or 2 years in, who knows how long, but it's going to happen. And the thing to do is to address those issues in advance in a healthy way at a time when everybody's happy and emotions are high, so that people can address them in a fair and an even-handed way. But even more importantly than that, it's vital that couples lay a groundwork of communication at the beginning of their marriage, so that when issues come up later that they didn't anticipate, they have somewhere to go with those. They have a foundation of communication in place that they can call upon to address those issues.
And it's interesting what you're saying because, research has shown that conflict around money, conflict around issues related to these conversations you're talking about is one of the main reasons that people cite for why they are no longer married, why their marriages come apart, where the conflicts arise.
Yeah.
And it's so much based out of not having the skill and understanding how to have these conversations effectively. And what you're saying is you can use right at the get-go, right when you're getting ready to start thinking about your marriage, not just your wedding. Wow, what are the things that matter to me? What are important in terms of creating our life together? And in the event that something should happen and we're not together, that really this is at stake for me. This is what I really care about, and how to be able to express that effectively. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. You know, what couples come, when couples are in my office for a divorce and they're telling me what led to the divorce, one of the very common complaints is that they were blindsided by a perspective that their spouse had that they never anticipated that person could have had. And it's not so much, the perspective itself is a problem for them in that scenario, but what hurts more is the surprise. I had no idea you were that kind of a person. How could you think that way? And so my view is, well, it's twofold. One, get everything out that you can get out, everything that you do know about yourself. Do the introspection necessary in advance, using a guided approach. Have a professional help you think through the questions that are probably going to come up at some point. Determine your perspective, articulate that to your partner. But beyond that, again, lay this groundwork for communication so that when something comes up that you couldn't anticipate, you're ready for it. You know how to talk about these issues. You got through it before the marriage in a very difficult context, because, yeah, I mean, a prenup is a tough thing to talk about. But you made it through, and you learned some skills on how to talk about these things. And now 5 years in, when the issue of an inheritance or what have you comes up and you didn't think about that, now you can address it with some alacrity and some presence of mind.
Well, great. Well, you know, in our next segment, we're going to be talking about what is a prenup and what are the things we're going to be talking about in that. So if you're just tuning in, this is family lawyer Erik Newton of Heath-Newton LLP, based out of San Francisco, and we are having a conversation about prenups and what we need to know about them. And you are tuning into Wealth Psychology at Sylvia Global Media. My name is Emily Bouchard. I am the managing partner of Wealth Legacy Group. Thanks for tuning in.